Everyone in the galaxy thinks we humans are strange, foolish. But truth be told, they think our biggest weakness is our heart. Meet Corporal Miller. Miller was no high-born noble of the Central Vanguard fleets. Burned skin mapped his jawline from a plasma breach on the outer rim. Dark, hollow craters sat under his eyes from holding the front lines for 4 consecutive weeks without reinforcement. His hands always, well, they shook a little whenever he unbuckled his empty rifle magazine. He had been assigned as a logistical liaison at the Royal Palace following the treaty, meaning he was constantly in the vicinity of the High Court. But instead of lingering, instead of trying to win favor like the alien politicians, Miller always finished his wake, kept his head down, and left the room the second his duties were done. The elite alien commanders and high-ranking lords noticed it. Their minds were small. They only saw a snub. They thought he was a coward who couldn't handle the pressure of the upper echelons. Then, during a quiet evening shift in the grand obsidian corridor, a massive shadow fell over him. Standing there alone, without her usual guard contingent, was Queen Vextia herself. Her towering, armored body was covered in deep, crimson scales that scraped together like rusted metal whenever she moved, and a wet, rhythmic clicking echoed from her mandibles. Her 4 eyes stared out like empty, bottomless pits, radiating an oppressive physical pressure that turned the air heavy. "Why do you avoid me, human?" the alien queen asked, and her response left me shocked. Her voice didn't carry the roaring fury of an execution order. It was quiet, raspy, and carried a strange, heavy weight of genuine curiosity, almost bordering on vulnerability. She was the absolute ruler of 1,000 worlds, yet she was actively stopping a low-tier human technician to ask why he wouldn't look her way. The couple of royal attendants at the far end of the hall froze. They expected Miller to collapse. They thought he would drop to his knees, stutter a frantic apology, and beg her not to incinerate his entire squad for disrespect. But then, Miller did something that shattered their alien logic completely. He didn't run. He didn't drop his head. Instead, he set his heavy datapad down on a nearby supply crate with a loud metallic clang. His shaking hand became, suddenly, perfectly still. He wiped a streak of dark grease from his forehead, took a ragged, burning breath, and looked the queen straight in her 4 dark eyes. He didn't look at her like an unstoppable conqueror. He looked at her like a person who was used to everyone running away from her shadow. He looked up at the towering queen and said, "Your Majesty, I don't avoid you because I'm scared of your fleets or those plasma spays. I avoid you because every time you walk into a room, you're surrounded by hundreds of fake lords bowing down just to save their own skin. I'm a grunt. I don't do fake. Humans don't look at a person like a political chessboard. We fight for the soul. And honestly, I didn't think a supreme ruler like you would want a regular human guy cluttering up her view unless she actually wanted to talk to the man, not the rank." He stood his ground, his chest heaving, completely exposed in the quiet hallway. Alien logic shattered right there on the floor. The queen's mandibles went completely still. Her crimson scales stopped rippling with defensive armor plating. For 3,000 years, every single soul she encountered either brought expensive tributes, cowered in absolute terror, or groveled for her attention. No one had ever just stood there, completely unarmored, and told her that they were avoiding her out of sheer, unfiltered respect for authenticity. Instead of flaring up in anger, the queen's response left the entire corridor in stunned silence. Her scales rippled with a sudden, deep, and curious warmth, and her mandibles parted into a genuine, low, rumbling chuckle that echoed through the stone rafters. She leaned down closer to his face, her dark eyes reflecting his stubborn expression, and replied softly, "Then stop walking away, human. The court is full of echoes. I want to hear a voice that doesn't shake." Later, the galaxy learned that Miller's blunt honesty didn't lead to a prison cell. It broke the heaviest isolation in the central systems. The Queen didn't punish him. She bypassed the entire High Council and appointed Miller as a private advisor, ensuring that the most powerful ruler in the sector finally had someone by his side who would tell her the absolute truth without blinking. The aliens still sit in their high towers, texting, trying to find the strategic, diplomatic logic behind why a supreme galactic monarch would alter her entire inner circle for a rough human grunt who just didn't like fake people. But truth is, humans are just built different. The night is getting late. So, what do you think? We humans really are strange, aren't we?